Many thanks for choosing us. It is set to be a showdown this Thursday when Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta appears before Parliament to present the 2023 budget. The minister will be doing so while facing censure and also with 98 MPs from the NPP caucus threatening to boycott proceedings if he is the one to do the presentation. The minister spoke to our parliamentary correspondent Kwekwa Asante and said despite all these, he expects to be the one presenting the 2023 budget.
Finance Minister, how do you feel about this whole process? I mean, do you feel about this process? JoyNews Live.
I mean, I guess it's democracy in play, and we just seek fairness, and we are confident in how the process will evolve. So
next week, will you be presenting the budget? Will you do so yourself?
Yeah, I expect so. That seems to be a weird question.
What do you say to the NPP MPs who say they don't want you to do so next week?
I don't know. I haven't heard that officially, so I'll see. Anyway, but thank you. It's been a very long day. And
today, the group of 98 MPs are responding directly to the minister, insisting they are not backing down on their demand to have him sacked. Spokesperson for the group, MP for Asante North, Appiah Kubi, says the minister's response to their issues is unfortunate.
Well, hearing is not compulsory. I'll give him the benefit of decision whether or not he's heard. But we are also resolute in our approach, and well, if he hasn't heard, maybe in the course of time he will hear.
Appiah Kubi says the majority group have lost confidence in the minister, arguing the minister should have resigned long ago.
And for which reason, indeed, for me, I would have thought that the very day that President said we will go to IMF, that should have been the day he would have resigned if he left to me alone, because he had promised that we will never have to get there. And if indications are that we are going, then I think, to be honest with yourself and to be honest with the people of Ghana, you should have resigned. Because where is your credibility in going for the program? Because and leading it, indeed, you had come out to say that never would we go to IMF, and didn't only speak to Ghanaians. You spoke to the whole world, and indeed, IMF also heard you. So if it comes to a time that you have to lead the charge coming to the IMF, what will IMF think of you, and what will IMF think of our whole program? So we thought that you should have left the scene for somebody else to carry the mantle, go to IMF and say, my friend was wrong, now we are here, please deal with us. And you would have carried enough credibility talking to IMF then. So for me, at that point, if I was leading or part of the IMF team, I wouldn't have taken you seriously. So I think for that reason, to give Ghana a fair opportunity to interact or negotiate with IMF, I would have resigned if I was in his position.
If I may, I just want to put a couple of things to you and see if you agree or disagree. So, do you agree or disagree that the finance minister has engaged in conflict of interest, ensuring that he directly benefits from Ghana's economic woes as his companies receive commissions and other contractual advantage, particularly from Ghana's debt overhang?
My brother, that is along the prosecutorial tangent, and I'm not sure that we have considered that yet. But right. If it becomes necessary to so do, we will look at the indicators, the figures, and speak to same. So for now, we are not speaking to the conflict of interest situation as part of the package from the Censure Motion. We are not speaking to that.
Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament said the response of the Finance Minister before the Censure Committee was dishonest, claiming he failed to respond to the key issues raised by the minority in their motion.
First, let me say that I was disappointed listening to the minister because he did not answer the questions. He was dancing around the questions and not going to the specifics. For example, on the issue of the National Cathedral, it is obvious that an expenditure had happened. This is a national project, well advertised by the state, commissioned by His Excellency the President. Yet, the minister responsible for finance had the courage to appear before Parliament and say to us that they did not budget for it. That in itself is wrong in the first place. He informed Parliament that between 2018 to 2022, all the payment they've made came from the contingency votes. The contingency votes is there for unforeseen expenditures in the course of the year. The so-called government expenditure on the National Cathedral was anticipated. Even before the budget was read. What surprises me is that for 4 years in a row, it has always been an emergency payment. What sort of finance minister do we have? Who does that? Even in your small company, you will never do such a thing. If, for instance, the year one you pay as an emergency and you know that that expenditure will reoccur in the following year, why don't you take it out of contingency and pay it as part of a line item or budget for it appropriately? So for me, it reinforces the issue of dishonesty, trying to hide from Parliament and from the public that the state is paying for the National Cathedral.
But he told you the state was going to pay for part of the National Cathedral.
Yet he kept it away from Parliament. But let me tell you, the power of the purse is not with the executive, it is with Parliament.